So that you're aware, tomorrow there will be no quiz. Monday, Tuesday pre-test, Wednesday test. I've already recorded videos of the correct answers for the pre-test. Yes?
Are you going to be here till Friday?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be in tomorrow. Yeah?
That's the wrong one.
I know that the number in the middle is wrong. I can adjust that, but these are the same?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to be okay. All right? Now, and then you have your test coming up on Wednesday. So obviously the next few days are a little extra important. And then we have, I'll be out, and I've done just about everything for all the days that I've been out. Through the Monday of the last week before Christmas. I expect to be back by that day. So you guys are pretty much all set. I'm in the middle of working on the Math 8s. Hopefully I'll be done with that by, tonight. Then I can leave my laptop in school, or at least far enough ahead, and then Jimmy can bring it home if I need it. Okay. So, one thing about that quiz, there are still some of you who convert to decimals. Don't convert to decimals. It's like, bam, slam my head into the wall. Bam, slam my head into the wall. It's like some of you go home and say, how can I get him mad today? I think I'm going to give him a dent in his head. All right? We got to be a little better than that. Okay, so yesterday we went over this question about giving the expression, draw a picture to represent the expression. We know that this would be a really good picture of volume, length times width times height. Okay? Write an equivalent expression using the distributive property. Now, in this one, I eliminated the y minus 2. What are the ones, Andre?
You have x plus 5, x minus 2, 4.
Plus 4. Okay, good. So now let's draw my picture here. That's why I teach math. X plus 5.
Why did everybody blame me?
I said, was that you?
For what? What did he
Who
do?
laughed at my artwork?
Andre?
No, I laughed because you said that's my teacher.
Oh, so you laughed at my humor. Very good. Excellent save. Now, x plus 5, x minus 2, x plus 4. I don't believe it for a second, but that was a good save. Okay, now, it doesn't matter which order I multiply in, but I'm going to do a little commutative stuff here and do those two, only because everything's positive, and life is beautiful when everything's positive, isn't it? It's like warm fuzzies, group hugs. We can all get together and sing, Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya. X times x is x squared. Life is not always warm fuzzies and group hugs, right? Sarah, if you've got a little sister, is life always fuzzy and group hugs? Never. Oh, that's a little stronger than I expected. Okay. I did double distribute here. I can combine like terms in the middle, and I get x squared plus 9x plus 20. Now I'm going to multiply that by x minus 2 and that evil, rotten negative sign in there. Negative signs are like little sisters. Is that how we can say things? Yeah, they are negative? Is that how that works? Which do to your wrist?
That was my sister.
Really?
Yeah, she hit me with my hair wrapping around her.
That's the way it always works for the oldest. Are you the oldest?
Yeah.
I was the oldest. It's the same exact thing. Except when I was a kid and my knee was so messed up. I used to have a brace on my knee. I used to wear a brace on my leg for like, I don't know, about 5 years, 4 or 5 years. And it had sharp metal parts to it. So my sister, I had an evil, rotten little sister too, and she would kick me in my knee and run away. So my parents said to me that I was never allowed to hit my sister unless she kicked me in the knee. If she kicked me in the knee, fair game. So the one time I actually caught her, God, fuck it. Ever tell you about the time I knocked my sister out?
No.
Oh yeah. This was like one of the greatest moments in my life.
Let's get past few minutes till we're done.
So here's what happens, real quick. Growing up, my sister and I, we used to fight all the time. We couldn't have a discussion. So I had two sisters. My younger sister and I, we only got in one fight ever in all our years together. That was when I called her dense. She didn't like it. She got her feelings got very hurt. The middle sister, Sandy, though, she was just, oh, God. So now we get along great. But back then, oh, no, not at all. there was this one time we were growing up, we get in a fight at the dinner table, and Sandy decides to take a bowl of salad. Now, in my house growing up, my mother always made the same dressing, and she didn't buy it, she made it. She mixed ketchup and mayo. Well, no, that is, Russian dressing is ketchup, mayo, and relish. That's all it is. So it was without the relish. It's called French dressing. If you have French dressing, it's ketchup and mayo mixed. So she would mix it up, and then we would have our salad with a little bit of that dressing on it. So this one day, I don't know whatever I said to my sister, whatever she said to me, it escalated. And my sister said that she was going to dump salad on my head. And at that point, she stood up, she picked the salad up, and she dumped it right on my head. So I just remember, now, do you have a house where you have a mom and a dad, and discipline is run by dad?
Yeah.
Right? That's how my house is, or was growing up. And I would, like, my mother would do nothing. All she would ever say is, I'm going to tell your father. And then dad, you know, thud, 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 bam, bam, bam! End of argument. Issue settled. So on this particular day, she drops the salad on my head. It's dripping down. I have the equivalent of French dressing coming down my nose, probably forming a little bead off my nose. And I just remember looking at my mother and going, are you going to do anything about this? Ever feel like that with the little one? Right? So my mother looks at me and she reaches across the table and she puts her hand on my hand and she goes, I just want you to know how proud I am of how maturely you're handling this. And I just looked at her and said, that's not good enough. So she said, what? I said, I'm going to go take a shower now. And when I get out of the shower, she's going to be punished. And if she's not, I'm going to settle the issue myself. So I came out. My mother gave her some meaningless punishment. Useless, like stay in your room the rest of the night. Whoop-de-darn do. We had televisions and radios. So we used to eat as a family together once a week. And every guy, you know, any guy can say whatever they want, but every guy wants their dad to be proud of them. And every guy wants their dad to be impressed by their actions. And anytime your sister dumps salad on your head and you don't strike her, in the mind of, at the time I was about 16 years old, maybe 17, it's a sign of weakness. So, at least in the mind of a kid that age. I'm not saying it is in reality, but at that age you think it is. So, a couple days later, we're eating dinner as a family. And now, the other thing, girls, are we all clear on this? You have your dads wrapped around your little finger. Are we crystal clear about that? You can manipulate your dads and get your dads to do anything you want them to do. Yes, I see all the smiles are going around the room. Dads turn into like Superman. They like go in a phone booth and change clothes when their daughter gets hurt. It's like, da, 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 you dare hurt my daughter, da, 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 da. And dad will kill to protect his daughter. Not his son. He gets garbage out of his son, but don't touch the daughter. So it's right. Am I right? So I'm sitting there eating dinner with the family, and my dad, he had independent eyeball focus. You know how like frogs can look both ways up there? My dad could do that. It seemed that when we ate dinner, one eye was always on me, and the other eye could go anywhere it wanted around the room. So he's looking at me eating dinner, and my sister turns around, and my sister and my dad are like really close, and my dad and I are at war all the time. So my sister looks at my father, and she says, so, guess what happened at dinner the other night? And I go, shut up. And immediately, you know, you're not allowed to talk like that in the house. Immediately my dad's like, hey, don't talk like that at the dinner table. No. So I turn around, and my sister turns around, and she says, nah, you want to know what happened at dinner? So I look at her, and I said, so help me God. You tell him I will knock you out cold. So this is like so therapeutic, isn't it? So she turns around. What, do you want to hit Sid now? Hit Bay? So all of a sudden, my sister says, look, I stood up and I dumped salad on his head just like this. And she does it again. She dropped it right on my head. And I will never forget, like my dad sat at the head of the table, I sat opposite him at the other end of the table. And we had a long table. So all I remember was looking, how you can think this fast, I don't know. I just remember looking down and clenching my fist. But then I unclenched and I made my hand go like this. Now at the time I bench pressed about 330 pounds. So my sister was standing up next to me. And I just reached up from the chair and I went BAM! Right in the side of her head.
Oh my God.
And it was so, oh God, it felt so good. And I dropped her and she hit the ground. And she just laid there. And I will never forget this. This is how sisters work. If you have sisters, you know what I'm about to say is the truth. She hits the ground. And all she did was look up at me with the biggest eyes like, oh my God, you really did it. And then daughter instinct preservation takes over. It's like there's these little waterworks on the corners of their eyes. And they turn the faucets and they go, oh, oh, oh. So at that point, my dad, super dad, gets up and he starts chasing me around the house. Now, my dad was a chain smoker. That's why he's dead right now. He was a chain smoker. He smoked 3 packs a day. At the time, he weighed 280 pounds. I was on the wrestling team. I weighed 180 pounds. I bench pressed 330. And 1 week before this, I had beat him in an arm wrestle. And I will never forget how this went. My mom, you know how one person puts their hand over the top and says begin? So I'm braced with him. First time I'd arm wrestled him in many, many years. I'm like this, and my mom says, okay, begin. And I wasn't even looking at my mom. I was like looking in the kitchen at something. She's like, okay, begin. And I'm looking, and I'm looking. And I look down, and I see my dad. He was mostly bald like me. And he's got beads of sweat perspiring down his head. And like, I'm not even feeling it. And I'm like, so I beat him in the arm wrestle. Which is like, for a young kid, when you beat your dad, if you're a guy, like, yeah. So now my dad's chasing me around the house because of what I did to my sister. He's chasing me all over the place, Eventually chasing me out the door. But because he's a chain smoker, he's chasing me. Eventually I make the mistake of running in the garage. And I will never forget this. Here's my dad, he's coming at me. So help me, I swear. I look on my right, there's an axe. I look on my left, there's a pitchfork. And I say to myself, which one do I pick up to defend myself now, And I just remember my dad going, get out of here before I hurt you. And that was it, I survived, and now I'm here to teach math. So that was the day I blasted my little sister, and God, did that feel good. That was like so good.
Oh my God, is this one recording?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So now I'm going to triple distribute here. The other quick moral to the story is I told this story my first year of teaching, and I had these girls in class named Robin Trudle and Olga Mazout, and they used to take swimming lessons at the Y, and they didn't know my sister was one of the lifeguards who taught the swimming lessons. So they're talking about this hysterical story that a math teacher told them in class that particular day, and how great it was, and what a mean sister he must have. And she heard the whole thing, and she comes over and goes, "That's not how it happened. This is it." It was really pretty funny. All right, x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times -2, -2x squared. 9x times x is 9x squared. And for the record, I just wanted to be known that my sister and I love each other very much now and get along fantastic. So there is hope, Sarah, for you and your sister. And I think everything will be okay. But it took us until we were about 25 before it started, maybe 30, until we really began to get along. Okay, so I triple distribute. I think you're all good at this, right? X squared times x squared times -2, 9x times x, 9x times -2, 20 times x, 20 times -2. Now, like terms. There's some. There's some. So I get x to the third plus 7x squared plus 2x minus 4. I like to hear that. Well, the told you is not good because it means one person got it wrong, but it does mean one got it right. Okay? Any issues on this, Mr. Prendergast? How we doing? Rocking it? Anything I didn't get clear across? Anything we have to go over a little bit here? Okay, so let's get forward into what it is we have to cover for today. And I don't think it's a particularly difficult thing. What we're going to do is graph 2 lines at the same time. Yeah, I think yesterday was because it was a video or something. But anyway, graph both y equals 2x minus 4 and y equals 2x plus 1. Can you graph those 2 lines at the same time, please? Go ahead. Hit them up real quick. Should take you no more than 40 seconds. Except with my bad knees, I can trying to run away from the dad. Slope, y-intercept. What do we all put that together in? What do we say?
X equals MS plus B.
Right, good. Y equals, oh, I gotta put this in. So what comes together is y equals mx plus b. Now, what does m stand for again?
Movement.
Movement, it's slope, and it's how you move. And what does b stand for?
Begin or y-intercept.
Right, so y-intercept is where you begin. So I'm going to do this one first. M is 2, and b is -4. So I begin at -4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Let's do the backside here a little bit.
Oh.
And I make a nice little line, and I want to be in the habit of always writing the equation on the tips at the end of the line. That's always helpful. Now, let's graph the next line. Again, the slope is 2, and the y-intercept is 1. So I begin at 1, because the y-intercept's 1, up 2 over 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 1. And speaking of Begin, you know Mr. Begin retired last year?
Yes.
And he sent me a text before. When I am out, he is going to be at the library. So if you need help on a Tuesday night, he will be there for you. What's that? No, I don't think he would want to come in and go to work every day. Okay? What do you notice about those two lines? They're parallel. Now, can I ask you, what do you notice about the two slopes?
They're the same except.
They're the same, because they're both 2. The y-intercepts are different, but the slopes are the same. So what can I conclude about if you have the same?
They equal.
Right, if the slopes are equal, what are the lines going to be?
Equal.
Parallel. Okay, if the slopes are the same, you go, look, think about it, you're going up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. What are you doing here? Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So you got like railroad tracks. They're going in the same exact direction, at the same exact rate. Therefore, they will never touch, they will never get closer to each other, they will never get further apart from each other. They are parallel lines, okay? Graph the line y equals 1/2 x minus 3, and then graph any other line you want that's parallel to it. Go ahead. Battery done? Here you go. Where am I? Okay, so if I graph y equals 1/2 x minus 3, what's the slope?
1/2.
1/2, and what's the y-intercept?
3. Negative.
-3. Listen, is Andre the only guy whose vocal cords work here today?
Yeah.
Right? What's the slope, everybody?
Y equals 1/2.
No, just a half. I didn't say what's the equation, I said what's the slope. And what's the y-intercept? -3. So I begin at -3, which is right here. Up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. Backside, I hate that phone, down 1 over 2. Probably my sister. Somebody on that, please. So y equals 1/2 x minus 3.
Why? Go ahead.
Go ahead. So now, what would, excuse me, just slow down. What would I do if I want to write or make a line parallel to it?
Go down 2 for the y.
Okay, yeah, the big thing is this. Molly, you with me here?
You shook earlier.
Okay, now, guys, attention back here. Andre said the big thing. He said I go down 2 for the y-intercept. It doesn't matter where you go, it just matters that you change the y-intercept. So me, I like the number 3. 3 is probably my favorite number. So I'll go over here, I'll go up to 3 as a y-intercept, and I'll do up 1 over 2 again. Backside. There's my line. Anybody else have a favorite number?
40.
Why?
99.
That ain't gonna work. Anybody else got a favorite number?
43.
Too big.
13.
That ain't gonna work.
6.
6, that works. 1, 2, 3 more than 3. Up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. Now, all of those numbers do work. When I said they don't work, that's not true. What I mean to say is that they're not gonna fit on the graph, okay? So if I just change the y-intercept, but I keep the slope the same, I always generate parallel lines. Go ahead, be a wise guy.
Oh, no.
Okay. So, what did we say again about the slopes of parallel lines? Everybody, what do you know about the slopes of parallel lines?
They never intersect.
That parallel lines never the same. What do you know about the slopes
Oh,
of
they're the
parallel
same.
lines? They're the same. Slopes are always the same. So, I want you to do this two ways. First, I want you to graph -3, -2, -1, 1, connect the dots. Then I want you to graph 1, 2, 3, 6, connect the dots. Show that the lines are parallel. That's one way we want you to do it. Then I want you to use the slope formula to the first two, and the slope formula to the second two, and what do you think I'm looking for? They're equal, that they come out to be the same together. Very good. All right? So, do that now for this. I'll give you, it'll probably take you about a minute and a half, so go ahead. Are you annoyed with yourself right now? The quiz? Yeah? Just a bad day? That happened. I was straight counsel. So, it's not a big bad. But you probably picked yourself when you saw your mistake, right? Are you into the head bob today? Gotta put some oil in it. Okay. Now, at first glance, do these lines look parallel? Yeah, they kind of look parallel. All right, they generally look parallel. But now I work out my formulas. Did you get 3 over 2? Did you get 2 over 1? Yeah. So are they parallel? Andre, what do you know about the slopes of parallel lines? I didn't ask you about the lines. I said the slopes. Right, the slopes are the same. So is 3/2 the same as 2?
No.
No. So they're not parallel. So they kind of look parallel, but in reality they're not parallel. And the reason we need to know the slope formula, or one of the reasons we need to know it, is so that we can confirm whether or not the actual slopes are parallel. So you need to be able to crank that slope formula out. Remember, y from the second point minus y from the first point over x from the second minus x from the first. And I label the points 2 and 1 so I know which y to use and which x to use. Okay? All right? Minor? This is 6 minus 2 and 3 minus 1. If you notice, here's the red one here. They were all positives. Okay? All right, any other questions on this one? Okay?
Minor.
Let's go up.
Is it equal?
Okay. Now, let's see if we can figure out 2 ways to answer this question. Lines A and B are parallel. The slope of A is 2/3. The point -3,5 is on line B. What's the other point on line B so the lines are parallel? Okay. A couple of different ways to do it. I'm going to help you with the first way. The first way I could see is to actually graph the line. So it says the slope is 2/3. Somebody pick a y-intercept. Keep the number pretty small. Go ahead. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to do a slope of up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, backside. There's my slope. Okay. Now it says, let's take a look at the point -3,5. Here's -3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How can I find a slope parallel to that, or a line parallel to that? It's got to pass through this point. How can I find or draw a line that's parallel to it? Molly? Yeah, use the same exact slope. Up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, down 2 this way, 3, down 2 this way. And don't I get a perfectly parallel line? Okay? So if I ever want to draw parallel lines, I just write the thing and graph it. The other way is to just substitute the value in for the slope and work it out. All right, hasta la vista, vaya con Dios, toodaloo, ta-ta, arrivederci. Smile a lot, ciao, arrivederci, adios, amigos y amigas. Toodaloo, ta-ta. What's that? There's this thing called testosterone, and when you're 17, you're loaded with it. And you lift a lot. You lift every day or every other day.
For this one, is it possible to take 2 points from the line and
Yes.
substitute it for that?
Yeah, that's the other way to do it. All right? Have a good one, folks. I'll see you in lunch in a couple.
Okay.